So can you state your name and what party you're running for me, please?
Okay, well, my name is Jimmy DeLeon. I'm a Democrat running for mayor of Philadelphia.
Thank you. And tell me how you decided you wanted to run for mayor.
Because I was frustrated at the inaction of city council, the dysfunction of city council and the mayor as it came to gun violence, because people were getting killed, and it appeared that neither one of those legislative or executive bodies wanted to come together to come to any kind of a conclusion on how they could help to reduce gun violence. And because I'm a homicide judge. So I'm looking at young people get killed on a daily basis. I'm seeing people get their heads blown off, seeing them get hit by cars and exploded into pieces. And I wasn't seeing anything happening between city council and the mayor. None of them came over to the court to ask us whether or not we had any conclusions on how we could address gun violence. So it just became a frustrating situation, and I felt that it was my duty as a citizen of Philadelphia, which I love, to step forward to put my voice into the race.
And you have plans to address this if you become mayor?
Yes, I have specific plans to address gun violence. The first is, it's called the Local Incident Management System, which is a set of processes and procedures that the local government, us, would use to combat gun violence by enabling the necessary responders to work more effectively and efficiently together to manage the root causes of gun violence. It's a situation a little bit like the National Incident Management System, where I would declare all gun violence in Philadelphia a dramatic incident, and then the program would implement to combat gun violence. If you want me to go into further explanation.
Yes, just a little bit.
Okay, so let's take, for instance, the court system, which none of the organizations and none of the legislative or executive branches have ever come to the court to ask the court what we could do as far as gun violence. So with myself as mayor, I would bring to court into the equation. One of the things that the court would do is that we could put out on anyone that's arrested for having a gun, for straw purchases of a gun, for domestic violence, for assaultive behavior. On a case-by-case basis, we would put a social media ban. Because what we found is that social media is the driving force for a lot of the violence we have here in Philadelphia. We've seen this happen at Roxborough, where the young man was killed and a couple of young people were injured after a football game. And we've seen it at Overbrook High School around Thanksgiving of last year, where there were 2 shootings on 2 separate days at Overbrook. About a month ago, we saw it at Fells High School here in Philadelphia, where a 19-year-old was killed. And we saw it like 2 weeks ago, where a 14-year-old was killed and a 15-year-old and some others were injured. So we would also put a curfew, case-by-case basis, where depending on whether or not the individual has job or education that they have to take care of, we would put them on a ban where they would only be out from 6 in the morning till 9 at night. Now, what happens is that this gives a less cluttered landscape for the police, where the police would do their own anti-gun violence initiatives. Because there is an organization within the police department called the Police Social Media Task Force. And what they do is that they monitor social media. They monitor perpetrators on social media. They monitor people who may become perpetrators on social media. They monitor people who may become victims on social media. And they put a stop to certain situations before they take place. So if you take more people off of social media and you put them within the court system as to the fact that they're being tried or they're being charged with various types of crimes, then it gives a less cluttered landscape where the police are able to focus on those who need to be focused on.
Can I ask a question? So when they're monitoring social media, they would say take an individual before they were to commit a crime?
depending on what they say over social media, because it becomes an alert. A lot of times people also brag on social media about after they've committed a crime. And people go on social media all the time. We have people that are being arrested all the time who go on social media with guns and show people that they have guns, and they're people that should not have guns, in the sense that they've been accused and convicted of crimes, whereas they're not supposed to have guns. But there they are on social media showing everyone that they have guns. So that's one of the aspects that would be used in the local incident management system. The other is that we would employ grassroots networks of people that would go to those that may become victims or may become perpetrators before they come into the court system, to see if we can turn them away from becoming a perpetrator or a victim. And what we use there is called Group Violence Prevention Program, which is a form of focal deterrence, where we send out to the house of a young person or teenagers that may become a perpetrator or a victim. We send a team out. The team is composed of the parent of a child who was killed, a police officer, because we use police, community policing, a social worker. What happens is the parent of the child who was killed explains to the individual the facts that led to the child's death and what that death has meant to the family since the child's passing. Then we have the police officer who's explaining to the individual what happens when you come into the system, what happens in the criminal justice system, and what you can expect based on a trial, based on incarceration, based on probation, based on any of those aspects that deal with the criminal justice system. That's explained. Then we have the social worker, which is really the key person afterwards, because the social worker comes armed with job counseling, financial counseling, career opportunities, post-traumatic stress disorder training, mental health training, anger management training, the things that we need in order to make the individual a better person. So we're trying to turn the person away from becoming a victim or becoming a perpetrator, and showing them that there are alternatives where you will be able to live a fruitful, long life. So that's, and I want to do that like tenfold. Like right now, they only had that program where they funded it with $1 million, and it works. It showed that there was a reduction in crime as far as shootings are concerned with the people that they went to see of 35%. So if we increase that program tenfold and put those teams out all over the city where we have those particular problems, along with what the court is doing as far as the people that come in contact with the court, that's going to reduce our gun violence in the city tremendously. Can you see it?
Definitely can.
Yes.
Definitely can. So, other than that, so how can you plan to get youth involved in this?
Well, youth are the major aspect of our city. So we have to train the youth, and it depends on where we're going to start. So let's say we start with the school system. Let's say we start with youth, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, okay, there. Look at the school as 4 walls. We have the family, we have the student, we have the teacher, and we have the academics of the school. Now, in order for the student to prosper, the student has to be empowered. Now, the empowerment generally starts at home. So, if the home is not in a position to empower the student, then the student's not going to be empowered when he goes to school, and the teacher's not going to be able to empower that student through the academics. So, what my approach is, through the local incident management system, is to empower the family. Okay, so what do? In order to empower the family, right from the school, we go to the family and we find out, do you need job counseling? Do you need financial help? Do you need post-traumatic stress disorder? Do you need anger management counseling? Do you need mental health counseling? Anything like that, because we want to make a strong family for the child, because we want the child to be empowered. So if the family has come together with empowerment among themselves, then the child is empowered. And when the child goes to school in an empowered state, the teacher can give the student what he needs in order to get through the academics of the particular grade he's in. So we want to do that specifically no matter what the grade is, but of course in the earlier years, because the earlier you can get a hold of the family and give them help, then of course that would carry on through the entire academic school year and on to the next years. Now, as far as youth are concerned, on another aspect, graduation. We have people who graduate on time. Then we have people that don't graduate on time. So one of my programs is that for those who may not graduate with their class, but are in a situation that we can give them a GED right there while they're going to school with their class, then they'll receive their GED at the same time that their classmates are receiving their high school diploma. So that would make a person feel better, you know, and we're also getting more people out as far as graduating from high school, because as we know, the GED is equivalent to a high school diploma. So we want to use that as well as an aspect to get more youth out of high school. Now, once we get them out of high school, we want them to go into fields in which they'll be able to make money. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they have to go to college. They can go into various trade programs as well, also IT programs. So myself as mayor, I would make it available for our students when they graduate high school that they would be able to go to community college for free. Okay, when they go to community college, they would be getting various skills. Some might be for the 2-year course, other would be for various certificate courses, other would be to go into Goldman Sachs 10,000, which is a program for entrepreneurs, where the Goldman Sachs investment organization, they give money to various individuals who want to become entrepreneurs to train them in entrepreneurship. And that's also opening for young people, because the earlier we can get a person involved in a business or a job, then this expands our tax base, and it also gives the individual the opportunity to grow himself or herself.
You said you're going to make it available for the students to go to community college for free?
Yes.
Yeah.
Graduates of public high schools.
Mm-hmm. And you went to school in West Philly, right?
Yes, I went to West.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. You're doing awesome. Just real quick, I think maybe we'll only probably need about like 10 more minutes of this time. And I want you to focus on like if there's anything inside of any one of these questions that are really sticking out to you. I think maybe we have enough time to maybe do 2, possibly 3.
Which questions?
Which ones do you want to focus on?
We just have like a list of.
No, I was.
Oh.
No, if you get an opportunity to talk about like the programs that
I would say like.
Well, I was about to ask him about how he grew up here in West Philly.
Yes.
Whether or not
showing the kids like
he got a chance to go to community college, and like it's gonna go like.
Yeah, I would say
These
anything
ones?
personal, and then go for the why should you vote for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Personal.
Yeah.
Personal.
I was about to do that.
You might need a tissue.
That's what I was about to do.
No, I'm being serious.
I know.
I was about to ask that question. I was about to ask that question.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. So, wait, you ready? Yeah. So you grew up here in West Philly, right?
Yes, I went to West Philadelphia Catholic High School for boys. I was raised by a mother who was single because my father had left her. I don't know why. And she raised both myself and my brother. And then I went to Howard University in Washington, D.C. And then after that, I came back here and I was in grad school and law school. And I ended up getting married. And then the first year of my marriage, after like 1 year, we had a child and my wife died. So I became a single parent with a 13-month-old daughter that I had to raise. And the funny thing is, before she passed, when I was waiting for the results from the bar exam to come out, I used to drive a cab, and I was on welfare. We were on welfare as a family because we were all trying to make it at that time, and we just didn't have the money or the means in order to make it better than what we were doing. So, and then with her passing, I ended up getting a job, right before her passing. And then with her passing, I had to raise a daughter until I got myself situated, and I ended up getting married again, having another child, and then married again. So, so the fact is that I was a single parent for a long period of time. And I was a Girl Scout leader, a Boy Scout leader, a Cub Scout leader, a Brownie leader. I did all those things.
So, at what point during your journey did you decide to go into politics?
Well, remember, as a judge, we're not looked upon as politicians.
True.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I didn't decide to go into politics until the year 2022, when I decided to run for mayor. Because now I went into politics, but I wasn't a politician per se. I was really a fed up citizen of Philadelphia, so that decided to run for mayor.
Well, what point in your journey did you decide to go into law, should I say?
Oh, law?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that happened basically at Howard University, because the people that were in my class, they were like going into business, going into dent school, going to med school. And I was trying to figure out how to stay out of Vietnam because I was in the Army. I went through ROTC in school. So I was trying to figure out how not to go to war. And I just happened to have been what's called a distinguished military graduate, and I could choose what I wanted to do. And that particular year, I could choose either to go to war or to go to school. So I chose to go to school. So, so I went to school, and the law is English. So I can read and write. So I chose, okay, well, let me go where I can read and write. So I went to law school. And that's how I ended up in law school, going to where I am right now here today.
So you've probably read a lot of books in your day.
Mm-hmm.
So any books you would recommend to young people, such as I, to get advice about all this stuff around us and to learn more about it?
Anything by James Baldwin. I would suggest that young people read. I mean, it doesn't make any difference which book he wrote. Any of the books he wrote are books that you should be familiar with. And also, I'm thinking like Putney Swope. There's a book called Putney Swope. That would be a good book to read as well.
Okay. I have to look it up.
Yeah.
And is there anything you want to say to youth as to why they should vote for you?
Well, because I have your safety in my heart. I don't want to see anything happening to any more young people in this city. And I have the plan to reduce violence. And the Inquirer said that if you are interested in stopping gun violence, vote for Jimmy DeLeon, because none of the other candidates have any clue on how to stop gun violence. They had the opportunity. Every single one of these individuals that's now running for mayor, I know, for mayor, was on city council. The city council didn't do a single thing to try to stop the gun violence. So you're just going to get the same old, So I'm a person that's concerned with your lives. I've done this all my life, is protect the lives of young people. I could have put young people incarcerated when I had them in front of me, but I gave them second chances. I put them in programs where they would be able to become a better person. I gave them job counseling. I gave them education skills. I gave them things that were needed in order for them to become a better person, rather than enter the criminal industrial complex.
Well, it sounds like you're a pretty good judge and you'll make a pretty good mayor.
I hope so.
Yeah. And Mayor, we good?
Great.
Well, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So you enjoyed it?
Yep.
Okay.
I We just interviewed Judge DeLeon. So here he is. And be sure to go to the polls and vote on May 16th.
Vote on May 16th for Judge Jimmy DeLeon for Mayor of Philadelphia.